welcome to another episode of AP Taylor Swift, the podcast for Swifties who like to dive a layer deeper into the music. So lean in close, turn up your volume, because class is in session. We're your hosts. I'm Monsi.
I'm Jen.
And I'm Jody.
And we are your unofficial professors of Taylor Swift.
Welcome back to another episode of AP Taylor Swift. This week, we have a very special show and tell for you. I think they're all special show and tells, but we're excited about it. This week, we're doing a show and tell on Wicked, because Wicked for Good is coming out very shortly. We are all big theater kids. We loved Wicked the musical. And I think we've talked about, I think it was when we did Who's Afraid of Little Old Me. We were like, oh, this is an Elphaba song. We should do a Wicked episode. And so, this is our show. We make the rules. Here is our Wicked episode. I'm going to give a little bit of an overview. There's a couple different angles you can take, because Wicked is not just a movie. It's not just a musical. It's a book. And not only that, Wicked, the book, is based on The Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. So I'm going to give a high-level overview of kind of the Wicked cinematic and non-cinematic universe before we dive into our Taylor Swift-aligned songs. But Wicked is a book that was published in 1995 by Gregory Maguire. It's called Wicked, The Life and Times of the Wicked Witch of the West. And it was written as the backstory to the Wicked Witch of the West. Fun fact, and I have to get the source for this, apparently Maguire was inspired to write the book after seeing Les Miserables and wondering what the backstory of the villains in The Wizard of Oz was, which is kind of fun. So Wicked, the book, really flips the script on the classic movie, the classic story of The Wizard of Oz. And it's a very much a sophisticated adult reimagining of Oz and the Oz universe. It's very dark, the book. Has themes of political oppression, religious fundamentalism, moral ambiguity. It is not a book for children. I first read the book in high school, right around when the musical came out. Very different experience. I also then just reread it as an adult. And I think a lot of those very dark themes of political oppression, fundamentalism went over my head in high school. The book does open with puppet sex. So that just tells you right out of the gate. It's dark, it's different, it's not The Wizard of Oz, and it's not the musical. Very much an adult read. Be forewarned. So this book, it then inspired the musical that came out in 2003 on Broadway, the musical Wicked, premiered October 30th, 2003. Stephen Schwartz is the composer and lyricist. There's a great YouTube documentary on the page-to-stage musical adaptation and the whole journey of developing Wicked from a book to the musical. We'll link it in the show notes. Like many, but not all musicals, Wicked the musical is much more family-friendly. It's accessible. It really focuses on the relationship and the friendship between Elphaba and Glinda. It's a much more simplified and toned down narrative than the book. It really tones down the political allegory, removes a lot of the adult content, the violence, the sexual themes, to have a hopeful ending. Because at the end of the day, Broadway show needs to appeal to the masses and make money. And that clearly worked, because it is still on Broadway today in 2025, and then turned into the movie. Movie came out, first part in 2024. Second part comes out this year, 2025. It's directed by John Chu. And basically they split it up by Act 1 is part 1, Act 2 is part 2. And this movie is much more faithful to the musical because it needs to appeal to a wider audience and be very family friendly. So this is very high level. It doesn't even go into the story of Wicked, which is all about Elphaba and who is the Wicked Witch of the West, or who becomes the Wicked Witch of the West. What is her backstory? How does she become who she is? Is she really wicked? What does it mean to be wicked? And the musical, the book, the movie follow her through school at Shiz. What gives her kind of political awakening? What makes her who she is, and what makes other people believe that she is wicked? And then it follows her through her adult journey as, is she evil or is she doing good? And what does it mean to be evil, to be wicked, and to be good? So that was a largely spoiler-free Wicked synopsis, I think.
Yeah, I mean, spoilers will come, but...
Spoilers will absolutely come. Yeah, I don't care about spoilers. I mean, like, if you've seen The Wizard of Oz, spoiler alert, there you go. And I think that's what makes the story so cool, is Wicked, the musical, and the movie start at the ending with the witch is dead. which
Yeah.
is so, and then it takes you back, and then it's essentially like a whole flashback.
The only thing I was going to add to that was just, so I took a class on the American musical in college, and I remember our professor talking about Wicked as like there was kind of a dry spell of new good musicals in the American theater, and Wicked was kind of the exception to that, and it was still a little bit of time after Wicked before the energy started really going again, but it was kind of this bright spot in this dry period of new American musicals. She said that it was like she at that point, a professor of musicals, she had stopped watching the Tonys for a while because she just wasn't that interested in the new shows, and Wicked was the first time she went back to watching the Tonys because she was excited to see the songs.
I disagree because some of my favorite musicals came out in like 2000, 2001, but they're very niche musicals like Fosse and Aida. They're not nearly the mainstream musical. I agree in the sense that Wicked revitalized Broadway on a national or global stage, getting non-Broadway fans to come to Broadway. And I think the musical has done that again. It is once again very difficult to get tickets to Wicked because everybody wants to see it on Broadway. Although, so because the movie is just Act 1, there are reports that people would come to the musical and leave at intermission because they don't want to spoil the end of the movie, which is just so wrong. So wrong.
Okay, so people
You're
do care
see
about
it one
spoilers.
way or the other.
Correct. Sit through the whole Broadway musical.
Yeah, you're paying. Okay. That's hilarious.
Anyway, sorry, that's rage bait for you. So today we're going to take this beloved story or stories, because I think we'll each kind of touch upon different, whether it's the book, the movie, or the musical, or all three, and relate them to Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is a theater kid. We are theater kids. And even if she wasn't a theater kid, it's what we do on this podcast. We take Taylor Swift's songs and lyrics and make connections to other works of art in other genres. And this just is a really fun one.
Well, I will kick it off. So I have the first song, and apparently, as is tradition now, I'm going to do a deep cut debut album song for a musical episode because I did that for when I talked about Phantom of the Opera. And I've been waiting for a good reason to use this song for a while. Again, 15-year-old Jennifer loved this song. So it's A Place in This World, which came out on the self-titled Taylor Swift debut album in 2006. And it was written by two people. I don't know if they've come up on this before, but Angela Petraglia, Robert Orrell, and then Taylor Swift, who has come up before on this podcast. And I'm going to read a lot more lyrics in my analysis than I normally do because I highly doubt that this is as popular of a song as the other songs we're going to discuss. So just be prepared for that. But high level thesis statement is I think that this song matches Elphaba's journey in the first half. So actually, I'm not even spoiling the second half at all. But in the first half of the show, I think this really mirrors her journey. So to start, I'm just going to read the chorus to you. I'm alone on my own, and that's all I know. I'll be strong, I'll be wrong, oh, but life goes on. I'm just a girl trying to find a place in this world. Right off the bat, we see the connections. Elphaba is not loved by her father, is ostracized from the school, and she eventually does find the friend in Glinda, but there's still a lot of isolation. She still feels really on her own. And at the beginning of the song, I think it really connects to the beginning of the story. So the way that this song starts is, I don't know what I want, so don't ask me, because I'm still trying to figure it out. Don't know what's down this road. I'm just walking. So when we start the story, Elphaba doesn't know what she wants because she's never really thought about what she wants for the most part. Her whole life is taking care of Nessa, doing what her dad wants. She wants her dad's love and approval, but other than that, she doesn't have a grand vision or a grand plan for her life for the most part. And that's what we're starting off with the song. Also wanted to do a nod to Don't Know What's Down This Road, I'm Just Walking, Yellow Brick Road. Thought that was a fun little connection as well.
It is.
And then verse 2, I think, is kind of aligned with The Wizard and I, where there's this glimmer of hope for Elphaba. Got the radio on, my old blue jeans, and I'm wearing my heart on my sleeve. Feeling lucky today, got the sunshine. Could you tell me what more do I need? And tomorrow's just a mystery, oh yeah, but that's okay. So it's this moment of optimism, wearing my heart on my sleeve. I think The Wizard and I is the most vulnerable song, really, that we get from Elphaba, where she admits that she would like this connection. She actually starts dreaming. She allows herself to really feel that hope. But she's not quite sure. Tomorrow's just a mystery. So she's not, dead set on it, but just she's starting to hope for something, hoping that she will have a place in the world of Oz. And that's the whole premise of the song as well. And then finally, I'm going through all this quickly and we can go back through it. But finally, the bridge. This is so insane to me how well this connected. The bridge changes everything. Often the last song before intermission changes everything in the story. That's pretty common in musicals. So the bridge, it's 2 lines, but it literally, like, if you asked for an AI summary of Defying Gravity, it would be these 2 lines. But I'm just a girl on a mission. Sorry, maybe I'm just a girl on a mission, but I'm ready to fly. That's the bridge. So
perfect. No.
I was just like, oh, this would be fun. And then I went through the lyrics and I was like, I was right. This is perfect.
You need the like at the end of that.
Somebody who's more savvy than we are, please mash these 2 songs up. Please.
And as always, though, we talk about this so much when we do our deep dives, how the chorus changes after each verse or after the bridge. And so after the bridge of maybe I'm just a girl on a mission, but I'm ready to fly, going back into I'm alone on my own, and that's all I know. I'll be strong, I'll be wrong, but life goes on, is like just Elphaba's thesis in Defying Gravity of, oh, fine, I have a mission, but I can do this, I'm going to fly, I'm on my own, but that's all I've known, so I can do this. So let's go, I guess.
No notes. Love it. I'm the one that was like, didn't we do this for the Phantom? And you're like, nah, same, but that was the outside, less hopeful. But
yeah,
when I listened to the song, you had said, oh, this is a deep cut. And I started listening to it and I was like, no, I know this song. That's why I thought we did it in Phantom. I know it because the Live from Soho version was on my iTunes for back in like 2007, 2008. Which is why I didn't realize how much of a deep cut this song is. Also because the themes are so consistent, both in the rest of debut, but also they work so well for so many situations. In this case, Elphaba, which I think Elphaba is such a classic growing up into your own awakening and identity story. And I think that's exactly what this song is, except there's fewer political allegories in this song.
I think it's also such a great hero's journey song.
Yes.
We've talked about how in literature there is this hero's journey concept of the main character protagonist that is going on a journey, and through that journey they have self-discovery. And that's exactly what you described. Like, yes, that is Elphaba's journey in Wicked. That's also a very classical, classical is not the right word, but that's also a very classic, I guess, journey. And Taylor Swift is also the hero, I guess, of her own songwriting, or the way that she writes songs are also, the storytelling is strong.
Right.
And so you really see that element come through. I was also thinking, if we were to do this to the original and not Wicked, it could also apply to Dorothy. But the flying part definitely fits so nicely with Defying Gravity.
I know. I was laughing at the bridge. I was like, when the bridge summarizes Defying Gravity, I feel like I struggled on this comparison.
Maybe, this song came out in 2006. Maybe Taylor wrote the song after going and seeing Wicked.
It's possible.
Anything's possible.
It's quite possible. It's probably likely. We can come up with our own Taylor
we're going to give her
lore.
a call and we'll let you know, because obviously we have that connection to Taylor.
Yeah. And also, I just assume that any debut song that wasn't a single is a deep cut for the most part. So maybe this isn't as deep as a cut as I thought. That is just my general assumption.
No, that's a fair assumption, because I think so many fans have come on well after debut, including myself. But yeah, we all have a different level of familiarity with the debut songs.
This may have been my special song at my Eras tour. But anyways, I know she performed this song like a few times on the Eras tour, including the very last one. And it was emotional.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's one, too, that I was also thinking, this is away from Elphaba, but if we ever do a parallel songs again, this with You're on Your Own Kid would be a fascinating comparison, kind of like bookending in some ways her career as it currently stands.
Is that what she did in the mashup? I'm like, what was
Maybe. That mashup would make so much sense. Like,
now I don't remember, but I feel like she did.
We can take a producer's pause and look it up.
Yeah.
She performed this in Houston on April 22nd, and then it was performed again on the Eras tour in the final show in Vancouver, December 8th, 2024.
What the heck? How did you find that? It's
I just Googled surprise song, A Place in This World. And you're correct. It was a Place in This World New Romantics mashup on the last night of the Eras tour. I love that.
Yeah, A Place in This World on the last night of the Eras tour too is very symbolic and very sweet of trying to find a place in this world as you're finishing this like record-breaking run.
Right. I'm a girl on a mission. I'm ready to fly.
Her comments were that this is where I started my career and
Yeah.
this is where I am now.
I love it. Well, continuing the alphabet journey, but taking a hard left turn, I guess, into the book, I picked the song Treacherous off of the album Red, which originally came out in 2012. Track 3, written by Taylor Swift and Dan Wilson. And then, of course, we have Red Taylor's version. Treacherous, I sing this song as completely about Elphaba and Fiero's relationship. Both the musical and the book, there's this, and the movie, but really what I'm talking about will come out in this part 2 of the movie because it's act 2 of the musical. So I'm really going to focus on the book and a little bit of the musical. But there's a spark of attraction for sure between Elphaba and Fiero from the beginning. Fiero is drawn to Elphaba's intelligence. He really sees past her green skin. There's a flirtation. These two get together in all of the adaptations, but the book is much more charged. There's a lot more writing on their interaction because Fiero is married. So, and that is very clear. And not only is he married, when he finds Elphaba again, he tells her about his wife and his children that are back in, I think he was a Winky Prince in the musical. I think they changed the name in the book, whatever it is. He's a prince, he's married, he has kids, but he spends a lot of time in Oz because of his role as a prince, and Oz is the center of government for Oz. So
Can I ask a very specific question about the book?
I will try and answer it, but you can ask it.
Is he the heir? Like, is he the prince who's going to become king, or is he like a younger brother prince?
No. He's the prince.
So, like, he's set to take the throne and stuff.
The prince.
Yeah, he's the prince.
That changes the stakes. He's mentioned as a prince offhand in the musical, and I've always wondered.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure he's the prince of the Vinkus, which is the Winky country. Got the map because every good, book has a map in it. I'm 99% certain because that
just changes the stakes of like.
And the reason I say that, I don't know that there's a king in this country because Oz is the great and powerful, but he is the leader of government in the Winky country. Not that there's much there because there's so much war going on. And now I'm also getting confused between all the many fantasy books that I'm currently reading, but I know that he has a role in politics and government because that is why he spends so much time in Oz, which is where Elphaba is hiding out because she is in the middle of her, I'm going to take down Oz. So while in Oz, at first, Fiero runs into Elphaba, and this is like 5 years after she has left school. This is 5 years since the Defying Gravity scene, in case all you have seen is the movie. So he runs into Elphaba, and first she's hiding because she's a fugitive, basically, from the Oz government.
Yes, undesirable number 1.
Correct. Undesirable number 1. That makes me think of Harry Potter, but yes.
That is directly from Harry
Potter. Thank you. Okay, great. That's why I was like, wait, what? They used that line in Wicked? Cool. Anyway, told you my fantasy books and movies are all blending together. So he runs into Elphaba. It's 5 years after they have last seen each other at school. And she's like, no, you can't see. You're good. I'm not who you think I am. And he was like, dude, you're green. You're the only green person I know. Like, you're Elphaba. We went to school together. I just reread this passage. And that's basically what it is. And so they start hanging out. He goes with her to her secret hideaway. And at first they rekindle a friendship. And then, of course, friends to lovers. They have this passionate affair. He is deeply, deeply attracted to her passion for social justice. There's a ton of physical and intellectual attraction, but it's a very morally complex relationship because she is leading the resistance against Oz. He is a prince that is part of the Ozian government, and he's married. And so this small detail, married with kids, by the way. Oh, it gets even better because then in the book, when she has to escape and takes refuge in Winky country, and it's his wife that gives Elphaba refuge. And this is after he becomes a scarecrow and they think he's dead. It's a whole thing. Anyway, it's a great book, will say.
Spoilers.
Who did he get married to?
Sarima. He basically, in the book, he gets married to this. He's married as a teenager, right? He's a prince. It's a political marriage. And so they get married or they're betrothed at a young age. So it's not a love match. And that's something that he says to Elphaba when as this will get into the song, because he's like, no, I married her for the country and for the good of the country. But what I have with you is love, that is passion. But again, like, this is seriously morally complex. There's a lot of ambiguity. This is a secret hidden relationship with clandestine meetings, both because Fiyero is a prince and he's married, and because Elphaba is a fugitive. This relationship is treacherous. So the song Treacherous, this is a Taylor Swift podcast, not a Wicked podcast, apparently. The song is about being drawn to something or someone that you know is harmful, is not good for you. And you're really torn between desire for this person and the wisdom that this person is not good, is not right. It's a very vulnerable song. There's a lot of tension. And it reminds me, if I will go to the musical for a second, reminds me of the song As Long As You're Mine, which will also be in the second movie because it's Act 2. And that is a duet between Elphaba and Fiyero. And it takes place, basically, that song basically encapsulates like the very long chapter in which they have their love affair. And similarly, the parallels that I will draw between Treacherous and Wicked, similar to As Long As You're Mine, I tried to figure out, is this sung from Elphaba's perspective? Is it sung from Fiero's perspective? I really think it's both. I'll start out with a fun nod, but it's not the lyric that I think really makes it the connection. The song starts out with "Put your lips close to mine as long as they don't touch, out of focus eye to eye till the gravity's too much, defying gravity." Anyway, it goes on, "I'll do anything you say if you say it with your hands." There's a direct line in the book that he says to Elphaba, "I am putty in your hands. I will do anything. I melt for you." That sounds like Bridgerton. Anyway, "I'd be smart to walk away, but you're quicksand." Again, you can read this either from Fiyero or Elphaba's perspective, but the other person is dangerous and hard to escape. Like, they know that I should not be doing this with you specifically, but I can't get away from this. This slope is treacherous. This path is reckless. This slope is treacherous, and I like it. So both Elphaba's actions in trying to overthrow Oz, as well as her love affair with Fiyero, these are done completely in secret because it is reckless, because it is treacherous, because she's a wanted fugitive and he's a married prince, and yet they keep going. That's what's really interesting in this chapter, is it's just like meeting after meeting after meeting, and it really reinforces the fact that they keep seeing each other. They'll say how dangerous this is. They'll say how this is such a bad idea, and yet they keep doing it. I can't decide if it's a choice getting swept away. I hear the sound of my own voice asking you to stay. I mean, literally, I listen to this song and I'm like, this is the scene. This is the scenario between the two. And then "Nothing safe is worth the drive." So in the bridge, "Two headlights shine through the sleepless night, and I will get you alone. Your name has echoed in my mind. And I just think you should know that nothing safe is worth the drive, and I will follow you home." This is a risk. Risk-taking is involved in conducting this affair, but it's a risk worth taking. Two headlights shine through a sleepless night. They are both not sleeping for many reasons, and yet they can't get enough of each other. Fiyero, again, when they meet, they haven't seen each other in 5 years. They never had a relationship before this, because when they were in school, Fiyero was dating Glinda. And yet it's Elphaba's name that echoes in Fiero's mind. It's Fiero's name that echoes in Elphaba's mind. And this whole idea is like, I would follow you home, is really beautiful. And then also foreshadows that Elphaba then has to go to Winky Country to take refuge while she's hiding from Oz. And also that Fiyero has literally followed Elphaba home to her temporary hovel where she is hiding out.
Also Enchanted reference.
Really?
Echoing your name has echoed
in
through my mind.
There we go. We knew we had to have one. Where's our bingo card? We did Harry Potter. We did Enchanted. We haven't mentioned Cornelia Street yet, but there's always time.
We're just corn in general.
Corn.
But he's a lion, right? He's
the scarecrow.
There you go.
Corn. Is that the corn reference?
That was the reference.
God.
We did it.
Bingo.
I love this. I think, especially when you were talking about how their relationship carries on, especially like the way that this ends. I guess I won't say it explicitly since we're trying, maybe.
No, we're not. Go ahead.
But like the way that the musical book movie everything ends is that Elphaba and the Scarecrow run off together. They're actually alive. And I just, first of all, good for them. I'm glad that they get to continue.
I think that's only in the musical. I don't think it does that in
Really?
in the book.
I guess I haven't read the book,
I don't
so
remember.
I just assumed it was the same. But in the musical, definitely they end up together. It would be great if that's not like that in the book, because I always thought it was a dumb ending. And, but like, yay, good for them. I just like always
It's
imagine
ambiguous in the
Dorothy.
book.
I imagine Dorothy like learning that her friend, the Scarecrow, like ran off with the Wicked Witch that she just killed, and it just seems silly. But it's nice that they like what you're saying of they're so on edge. There's this anxiety in their relationship the whole time, and this song captures that so perfectly. And then it's nice to know that there is actually a happy ending. Also, as a side note, whenever I hear the song, I do think of you just singing this song because I don't know, you did that in one of the early
Me?
episodes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's when I was
You also,
I was making friendship bracelets.
I was going to say, you did it on for social media too.
TikTok.
This knot is treacherous.
Yes. And there's the Maisel version, and I don't know, this song has come up many times.
Has it? That's so funny. I don't even realize
You bring it up a lot.
the pervasiveness of the song. I wonder why. I mean, I love Red. I think Red is a masterful album. I think this song, I love the tension in this song that
Yeah.
you're talking about something that you want so deeply that you know you shouldn't have. And it's ambiguous. You don't actually know what happens in the song. It says, I will follow you home, and I like it, but what do? I don't know. And I think it's such a mature song for how young she
Yeah.
was. This is on the same album
Yeah.
as 22, which is also fascinating because it's just there's such different experiences. I don't know. I love this
It's
song.
also a fun word that you don't
Treacherous.
use very often.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should bring back Treacherous.
I think I really like about this song is, yes, that tension, but there's this implied reason why she shouldn't be wanting this person, and we never know what it is. Like, it's implied that she shouldn't, but we don't know why. And like your comparison, we definitely know why Elphaba shouldn't be doing this, and Fiyero from his point of view, but it's so, I've seen so many think pieces lately about how writers and TV shows, which really it's not the writers as much as like the studios, don't trust the audience anymore,
Mhm.
that there's so much exposition and dialogue just handing it to you.
Yes.
And this song does that really fun thing where it's like, I don't know and I can infer, but like
Right.
even without knowing, I feel the tension. I feel this almost like implied tension between passion and duty, which is a very common theme in like a lot of musicals, actually. I mean, that's what's happening. The idea for Elphaba and Fiyero of like they both have these duties that they really believe in, yet there is also this passion, and it's like, do I forsake everything I want for what I think I need to do? Like, I can't have
Right.
both. What do I do with it? And the song, without handing us every detail of the plot, captures that, which is why I think it's such a, you're right, like it's a very mature, deep song, especially in that it's not a deep exposition. She's just giving us some like vague feelings, but we all get it.
Right.
She trusted us to figure it out.
Thank you for trusting us to be
Yeah.
smart enough to figure it
And
out,
that
Taylor.
it is the thing that kind of adds that universality to a lot
Yes.
of the music, is that it's just
Yeah.
vague enough, but oddly specific.
Yeah, because she's real good at that. Making the universal personal and making the
Yeah.
personal universal.
Okay, well, then I have the final song. I decided to do Now That We Don't Talk from 1989. Taylor's version came out in 2023 and was written by Jack Antonoff and Taylor Swift, classic duo for every song that we love. And I chose this song because Jody mentioned in the beginning that what the musical and the story, I guess like what the musical and the movie really focus on is the friendship between Glinda and Elphaba. And this song to me, even though it was meant to be like, I guess, a romantic breakup kind of reference, when I first heard it, when Taylor's version came out, to me, it was always a friendship song, because I think there's these friendships that you have when you're younger, and then as you get older, they drift apart. And I think there's like something really magical about those like friend romances in some ways, where you like really have a spark and you really connect and you're really in each other's lives in a strong way. And then over time, it just goes away, but you still love that person. And so I think about this song in that context. And I think about it from Glinda's POV for after they part ways. So if you're coming in watching the movie, at the end of the first movie, they have the Defying Gravity song, and Elphaba declares that she needs to go off on this mission to save all of the creatures of Oz and kind of challenge what the wizard is doing. But Glinda says, although she's very understanding, she says that she just simply can't do that. And Glinda's entire mission in some ways was to be liked. She wanted to be popular. She came from this big, rich family, and she just had a different destiny and couldn't support Elphaba in that. And so they part ways. And in the second part, as Jody started to talk about, it's many years later. And we know that, well, some of us know that Glinda becomes a spokesperson for the Wizard of Oz, and in some ways, like, anchors down into the establishment, so to speak, while Elphaba is going off being this rogue witch. So they end up on opposite sides of this war, so to speak. And that's where I come in with this song from Glinda's perspective. You went to a party. I heard from everybody. Part one has a party, a big one, where Glinda actually initially starts to play a joke on Elphaba and then realizes that that is incredibly mean. But Elphaba arrived to this party with this hat, like a witch. And there's this line, then in the song, there's a line, you part the crowd like the Red Sea. And I just remember that scene in the movie very, very well. I thought it was well done, where everyone just like goes pin drop silent and staring at her and is like, what the heck just happened? Don't even get me started. Did you get anxious though on the way home? I guess we'll never know now that we don't talk. Elphaba was bullied by Glinda and a lot of people before they became friends. They started off on the wrong foot because Elphaba was weird. Elphaba was green, and she has always been the outcast. And so that anxiety is, to me, Glinda just thinking about it like, do you get anxious? I guess we'll never know now that we don't talk, especially since Elphaba is a fugitive at this time. The next stanza, you grew your hair long, you got new icons, and from outside it looks like you're trying lives on. To me, this is just a nod that they've gone different ways. They haven't talked in a long time, but Elphaba has gone full into this witch thing. She's being labeled the Wicked Witch of the West. She's embraced it. But you can imagine Glinda, who used to be a very close friend of hers, almost doesn't recognize that version. It's just like, who is this person? Especially since they're on opposite sides. And so as friends, sometimes you're like, you didn't have to change, but sometimes the change happens no matter what, whether somebody wants it or not. And so I see that connection. I highlighted, I call my mom because Mommy Dearest, I don't remember if is that how was she said?
Dearest darling Mumsy and Popsicle.
Dearest darlingest Mumsy is Glinda's mom. She has these parents that she loves very much. And so this line, I call my mom, she said it was for the best. I mean, we definitely know where Glinda's parents would stand on this issue. And then remind myself, the more I give, you'd want me less. I cannot be your friend. To me, captures very much how they are such different people. Glinda comes from this very privileged background, and she is kind of that part of Oz that Elphaba is fighting against. And to some degree, it's like the more and more and more that Glinda were to give herself, the worse it would be for Elphaba, who's just trying to do something very different. And they're on such opposite sides that it's just very clear that they cannot be friends. But she pays the price of what she lost. I pay the price of what I lost and what it costs now that we don't talk. And you still kind of like feel that weight that relationship is a sacrifice.
Love this. I also love seeing this song from the friendship perspective, because now that you say it, it makes so much sense. I think we all have had friendships, whether it was from when we were younger or maybe from when you're adults. Like, you kind of grow apart, but sometimes there's this rift and you're like, we don't talk anymore. Now I have a different song in my head. We don't talk anymore, Charlie Puth. But in this song, when you take it from a friendship perspective, there's this flippancy about it now that we don't talk, but also there's a sense of loss. Like, you still see how much it hurts. I miss the old ways you didn't have to change, that we don't talk anymore, but I miss us. And I think that relates a lot to when we get to the song For Good, because I knew you, I have been changed for good. Like that in that song, they acknowledge that they're not friends, that they're on other sides, but knowing the other person has changed them for the better. And that's kind of like
Yeah.
an undertone in this song that like we don't talk and it's better. I mean, when you get to the bridge, it's like, here are all the things I'm really happy about that I don't have to deal with. But also, clearly you were someone so important in my life that made an impact.
And I wrote a whole song. Yeah,
And I
like
wrote a whole song about it.
even when you're saying like, thank God I don't have to deal with all this stuff, it's almost like you're trying to convince yourself. We can talk more about it in the actual deep dive, so I don't want to get too much into like the song itself, but I definitely think that the musical and For Good puts a spotlight on just how deep the friendship is. In the movie, like you can almost I mean, I will be really interested to see how they do this in the second part of the movie, but in the first part, it almost happens so fast, like there's bullying in the beginning, there's that like that kind of antagonist quality, and then they come together because of that party scene, and everything just kind of happens very fast. But For Good, the song is a very deeply emotional song. There's a lot of metaphors in the song, like a rock,
Like a ship
that
blown from its mooring.
Yeah, all of them, like the stream that
Would
meets
you
the
like me to
ocean, or like,
sing
yeah,
it?
I love that song. My sorority used to sing this song on
It
our
was
prof night, and it was
that
really sad.
I used that song in my yearbook like thing to my friends. It was just that whole song, the lyrics in high school.
But it's a very deeply emotional song, and I think this song, even though it has a really it's very upbeat, it is also a deeply emotional song. To your point, Jody, it has those undertones, and yeah, I think there's definitely a parallel there between this and For Good.
I also kind of as adjacent to that. Also, I've always liked the line, "What do you tell your friends we share dinners, long weekends with?" And for both Glinda and Elphaba, there are these people who definitely know that they were friends. That's a core part of the opening of the first movie. That's why we get the whole story in the musical itself, is they're singing she's dead, the Wicked Witch is dead, and then someone is like, aren't you guys friends? And so it's like there's this history that some people know about, but like you kind of don't want to talk about it anymore because now we don't talk. But then like I think in the song, I don't know, when we deep dive it next week, we can get into those lyrics more, but I think that's a core part of the Glinda-Elphaba relationship is they're like enemies to friends to enemies, and that's an awkward social situation to be in as well.
Yeah. I was actually thinking, because I don't know if the original lyrics were written that way in the musical, because I don't have a lyric book. I guess I could Google it, but I've seen a lot of videos of people making cuts of Glinda singing where it's no one mourns the wicked, and then she's saying no, comma, one mourns the wicked.
It's very ambiguous. So I rewatched the opening. I mean, it's meant to be ambiguous, right? That's the whole foreshadowing that the beginning of the musical and the movie, they're celebrating the Wicked Witch is dead, and Glinda is there representing the people. No one mourns the wicked, but she is mourning the wicked, and she is sad. And then the whole movie starts because someone says, wait a second, Glinda, did I hear you were friends? And she's like, yes, we were friends. Well, I mean, I knew her. Well, our paths crossed. And so she's literally working through kind of this song in that moment where she's like, we were friends. Well, it was platonic. Well, there was something there. And then has to go tell everybody. Like, it's her retelling everybody what their relationship was and what happened.
Yeah. And then we go back in time to this party. So this entire song is basically just.
I also love that you brought in Glinda, because I feel like Jen and I went like Elphaba. We're all in on Elfie. And I like having Glinda's perspective.
Yeah.
What would Bach's song be? What do we think?
I do agree that this is a Glinda song, but just one line that's really funny to think of from Elphaba's point of view is, I don't have to pretend I like acid rock or that I'd like to be on a mega yacht with important men who think important thoughts. That one section there is a very Elphaba, like, thank God I don't have to pretend to care about any of this nonsense.
Glinda...
I have an open comment for acid rock, and it is, Elphaba is weird.
Because Glinda would like to be on a mega yacht with important men who think important thoughts.
I would say Bach's song is Invisible, another minor deep cut from Taylor Swift's debut album. But she can't see the way your eyes light up when you smile. She'll never notice how you stop and stare whenever she walks by.
There we go. You did it. Well done.
Or Mr. Perfectly Fine, maybe. I don't know. No heart.
Yeah, because he's also really upset
Yeah.
that Glenda doesn't like him.
Yeah.
Also, honorable mention to Antihero, which I think could
Yeah.
be a big Alphaba song. I had that
Yeah.
as an option, but
And Who's
decided
Afraid
to
of
go the
Little
Glinda route.
Me? And I Did Something
Yeah.
Bad. Okay, extra credit or paid content will be all of the other additional songs. Well, that's all we have for you this week on AP Taylor Swift. Join us next week as we do a deep dive of Now That We Don't Talk. That's all we have for you today on AP Taylor Swift. Be sure to rate and review us on your favorite podcast app. Follow us on your social channel of choice at AP Taylor Swift to stay up to date. And join us next time as we overanalyze and deep dive into the next Taylor Swift song on AP Taylor Swift.